All right, everyone, we got goalkeeper Steve Clark here. Steve, just to kick it off, how has preseason training gone so far for you guys as you build up to this trip to Mexico next week?
Yeah, a lot of work for the guys, and I think that we're really excited to play someone other than ourselves. But overall, I think we look really good. We're day by day we're pushing forward. So
Great. We'll open up the questions. Dustin, go ahead.
Hey Steve, when you signed with the Dynamo a couple years ago, you talked about Pat presenting the plan to you in the process. How do you feel like that's gone so far, and where do you think you guys are just as a club and as players in that process?
um, well, obviously we've taken a good important first step, and now I think it's about consistency. Um, Making sure that this is a winning program year after year, and continue building the excitement with the fans. Obviously, a lot has changed since I got here, but there's work to be done.
All right, Alex, go ahead.
Can you hear me,
Yes,
Steve?
gotcha.
How are you, sir? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good to talk to you. We talked a little bit last week about the expectations for the season. You were very clear about staying in your lane. You are a leader on this team, but you said, "Look, I've got to put my mask on first," meaning I've got to lead by example. I love that, and that stayed with me. Talk to us a little bit more about that. How do you motivate others but still focus on yourself first? Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, it's not always easy for me because I do have a big mouth. You guys probably hear me on the field. But it's a balance, right? Because the goalkeeping position specifically, I'm a lot of time I'm watching the game and I have a view of the game, and then I'm in the game when actions come. So it's a balance for me. I try to do most of my work interpersonally, one on one in the locker room, and then on the field, I try to focus on goalkeeping. But I would like to believe that I carry a culture, I guess what I'm trying to say. I would like to believe that. I think that I think every person does, and whether they know it or not, and I think mine, I hope, can spill over, and I think that it does. So I'm not going to shy away from that. It's just the reality of me. So I'm going to continue bringing that every day, I guess.
How do you balance the emotion of the game? And this happens to all of us. And where I'm going with this is you're a role model to the youth. The way you behave is emulated by many goalkeepers throughout this entire city, state, and country. Yes, you have to be involved. Yes, you're emotional. Yes, the game may be against you, meaning the opponent and the referees. But how do you balance that? Because your message is an example for others. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think overall, it's true. I am young players are watching me, and I think that first and foremost, a young player will watch me and say, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to be resilient, and I'm going to believe in myself. I'm going to not only say things, but I'm going to work to achieve my goals. And then, on the field, there's times where I'm on the line of competitiveness, and I can't really say that I have a ton of friends throughout the league. I have my close
Mhm.
friends throughout the league, but I've lost friends because of the competition. But I'm paid to do a job. Okay.
Yeah.
People want to have opinions about that. People want to comment about that. But at the end of the day, I'm paid to get results. And on the field, that means different things at different times. Okay. And being a competitor, it just is what it is. My 16-year career, I've just come to um, accept that about myself. I'm a different person on the field. And that's just the way it is. I cannot change that. So.
Last one, and I don't think anybody's asking you to. We have to be ourselves. Eric was on a little while ago talking about the back line. Talk to us about your interaction. To me, the back line is an extension of the goalkeeper, and you guys have to work as a unit. Is that fair?
Yeah, for sure. We're always working very closely. Eric is someone with a lot of experience, a good leader. A lot of the winning teams do these little things well, and they make adjustments. They talk to each other on the field. We're communicating. We're saying maybe this is a moment where we need to be extra focused, or maybe this is a moment we need to clear the ball and close our lines. All those little things we did really well last year that we have to continue.
Keeper, thank you, sir, and good luck this season.
Thank you.
All right, Maggie, go ahead.
Hey Steve, how are you?
Good, thank you.
With that being said, I'm feeding off of Alex with the back line. You've had a good view of Kieran, being that, he is kind of trained with first team previously. What do you see from your perspective that he brings to that back line, being that it is so solid with Eric leading?
Yeah, you're saying Kieran, the new signing from Georgetown, is that who you're
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, he's I think he's an exciting young player. He came here in the summer, and I think we were all impressed with him, knowing that he still had some years of college left. Even I've had conversations with him already, and just talking about the pro game, the differences between that and the college game. But I think he's a very talented player with a bright future ahead. I'm glad that they signed him early so he can get more time to develop. But a very good signing and a very good player.
At a record season of clean sheets, can you do it again this season?
Yeah, I mean that's the goal. That's a whole team effort there, and it's exciting to be back here at Media Day and looking up at the season and how long it is and kind of I like to say climbing the mountain again, and I'm excited for that challenge for sure.
Thank you so much. Good luck this season.
All right, Joey, go ahead.
Hey, Steve, at these later parts of your career, how is your body holding up and how differently do you approach preseason at this point?
Yeah, I am turning 38 in a couple months. I feel really blessed. I feel really good. My body feels good. I still have my power, my athletic ability, and I also really have very persistent mind to push. So that's good. But I really would like to kind of mention our goalkeeper coach Tim. He does a very good job working with me and Andrew and preparing me for the session, but not overworking us. So, with that in mind, I can play for a long, long time, and he's doing such a good job. I feel good. I feel fresh. I feel better than I did in my Portland years. I feel like I'm young, I guess.
Thanks so much, Steve.
All right, anything else for Steve? All right, we'll wrap. All right, everyone, we got Griffin Dorsey here for you. Griff, just to kick it off, how is preseason training going so far as you guys build up to the Mexico trip here next week?
It's going great. We're getting very excited to start playing some other people. We've seen a lot of our own faces, and we're ready to compete against some other teams.
Great. Okay, Dustin, go ahead.
Hey, Griffin.
How you doing, Dustin?
Good. So obviously free agency for you. Came back to the Dynamo. What was kind of that process for you? Did you look at other teams, and how excited are you to be back in Houston?
I am beyond excited to be back in Houston. My wife and I have been here for 3 years now. This is home. Feels like home. The whole process was great. I think everything that Houston did was absolutely amazing, and I couldn't be more grateful to be here, more excited to be a part of this team for the coming year.
All right, Alex, go ahead.
Griffin, first of all, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, sir.
Griffin, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, Alex?
I'm fine. Great to see you again. Listen, I think we may know someone in common. Don't you have someone that helps train your dog? You mentioned your family. That's part of your family, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
We won't name names, but I know there's work being done in that area.
When you're living in the city, when I grew up, my dogs never needed to be trained because we lived in the middle of nowhere and we had 5-6 acres of land, so the dogs could just roam. But in the city, there's so many people. Your dog needs to be trained.
Anyway, good luck with that. It's part. They're part of our family, so I know
Yes.
there's a lot of work that has to happen there.
No, I appreciate that.
Yes, sir. We're glad you're back. And like the previous question, testing free agency and going through that process, was it nerve-wracking? Did it help in some way, maybe reinforce, give you confidence in who you are as a footballer?
Yeah, I mean, I think free agency for any player it can be very positive and it can be very negative. It definitely carries its own type of weight. But I think throughout the entire process, I knew Houston was very interested, and they were very open and clear throughout the communication process. And I think that made it a lot easier for me, especially going into the end of the season and the run that we had. And, and then kind of opening it up into the off season.
You mentioned being excited about moving on beyond in club scrimmages. Are you ready for Mexico? And is that kind of a new challenge coming up here in a few days?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think as a group, this is really where we started last year when we went to Toluca, and I think it's a great opportunity for us to continue to build on what we one already have here, and two, learning what more we can bring to the table to continue to push ourselves to be even better.
Last one, I'll throw it out there, and I mentioned this. You're doing your part as far as players winning on the field. How can Shell be sold out day in and day out every home game? What do you think the club needs to do?
I think for us, it's just continuing to perform at our very best. I think another thing that we've added this year is embracing Houston culture, and I think that's such a big part because the culture of Houston supports us, and we want to support the culture of Houston just as much. And I think that can help a lot.
Excellent. Griffin, thank you for your time, and good luck with the puppy.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Jesus, go ahead.
Hey, Griffin, welcome back to another season. First question, I wonder if you could share with us how you spend this off season, and then how soon you got back into your training. Brad told us that sometimes for you guys athletes, it's kind of hard to shut down. Like, for example, he said that it was only 1 week and he had to get back on it. So I just wondering, first, could you share how you spend your off season, and then how soon you got back into your own personal training?
Yeah, I mean, I think Houston Dynamo does such a great job for players in the off season. We have a plan set in place. And I think as an athlete, and I think most athletes could probably attest to this, having a plan set in place is exactly what we do. I mean, our jobs are to, one, listen to our bodies and know what we need, but also to have guidance from people who are experts in their field. And we truly have a group of experts that know how to prepare for another season. And so for me, it was great to have structure around what I needed to do throughout the off season. And I think that was such a huge help for me. Beyond that, my wife and I had our wedding celebration. We actually got married a year ago. We did a small little ceremony, but we did a bigger wedding celebration in Tomball, Texas, midway through December, which was super special to have all of our friends and family in one area, and that being just outside Houston, Texas, which is our home. We have no family here in Houston, Texas, but to bring everybody to our home was super special.
Thank you so much, Griffin. Good luck this.
Thank you.
All right, Maggie, go ahead.
Hey, Griffin, how are you?
Good, Maggie. How are you?
I'm doing good. A lot of people were left scratching that your name wasn't on the January roster for the U.S. men's national team. What do you say to that? Do you see that as motivation for this upcoming season? How do you take it?
Yeah, it's definitely motivation. That's where I want my name to be, and I want it to be there consistently. And for that to happen, I need to continue to show, the people around me that I can continue to perform at a super high level. And that's what I'm going into next season with the thought of doing, and continuing to push my name forward. So when I do get that call up, I'm, one, ready for it, and two, ready to continue to take it and continue to see my name up there.
I know you mentioned, you're ready to see your name up there, but that takes a little studying and motivation to get better. Ben said, you last season you fought for a spot from the bench, looking at tape, going over things, trying to see how you could improve. Is that something you're just going to stick on staying similar with doing this season, even though you're kind of at the spot where you've got a consistently good game going?
I would say that I pride myself on trying to be the best version of myself every single day. And I would say no matter if I'm starting, if I'm on the bench, if I'm not on the roster, if I'm playing, if I'm not playing, I want to be the best professional I can possibly be. And that includes watching film, that includes studying the game. And I would say day in and day out, that's always what my focus is on. And so whether I'm starting or whether I'm, working my way off the bench, I pride myself on approaching things the exact same way.
Awesome. Thank you, Griffin.
Thank you.
All right, Herman, go ahead.
Hey, Griffin, I just want to welcome you back and congratulate you on the extension. I can imagine that's a weight off the shoulders, have some stability in your life. And I just want to ask, last year, looking back at it, reflecting back, like Maggie touched on, you were fighting for a starting spot essentially, not even thinking about the contract. Thankfully, you've been rewarded for your play last year. What is the next step for you? What is your personal aspiration for this season? Now you've proven yourself to be a reliable and stellar starter. What is the personal aspiration for you for this upcoming season?
You know, I think there's kind of two answers to that question. One would be to see my name amongst the U.S. men's national team. For me, that's something personally that I've had a goal in my mind for as long as I can remember. With that being said, I also think that there's a huge focus on Houston Dynamo this year. And I would say personally, one of my goals is to push myself and my teammates every single day to be the best versions of themselves and myself, so that we can go out and have a season that we did last year and even better. I think, you know, we're all very happy with how our last year ended up, but the reality is we didn't win, and we have a lot of work to do if we want to get to the top of the mountain. And for me, it's about continuously pushing myself and my teammates so that we can climb to the top of that mountain.
Thank you, sir, and good luck this season.
Thank you.
All right, anything else? Cool. All right, we'll wrap it up there with Griff and keep it rolling after this.